All right, so we just got done setting up. Whoop. Turn the camera around this way. So we got one light, and a nice 3-light setup. That's our subject for today, Miss Courtney. Yup. So what we're doing today is we're shooting for her brand. And I'm gonna kind of walk you guys through it while I'm doing it. I'm gonna try. My assistant quite isn't here yet, so I'm gonna try to make this work. But she's an amazing dancer. And we're gonna be kind of shooting stuff for her new brand, Class with Court, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yes, Class of Court, LLC.
Yeah. So she just got her LLC. We're building her website, doing her pictures, creating all her media for launch. And this photo shoot is just for that. We got about 5 outfits that we're gonna do. And I'm gonna kind of have you guys stay with me while I'm doing this so that way you can kind of see how I shoot dancers, the lighting setup I use, the editing process, and everything else. Let's get to it. Okay, so first what we did is we started out with a simple street look. As you can see, we have the sneakers. She has on a simple pair of black joggers as well as a black shirt. The reason why we went with this was because we are shooting on a white background, and having that contrast is gonna make the pictures really pop and it's gonna make her really come out. Now we went with this choice simply because, for one, black is simple. Everything goes good with black.
Of course!
But also because of her skin tone. And because she is of a fairer skin, if we wanted to turn these black and white, like here, the pictures would just flow either way. Now, one thing you want to remember always when dealing with models or dancers is that obviously people move around a lot. So you always want to make sure, especially because we have these 2 strip boxes in the back, that since that is going to be a very narrow beam of light in comparison to the octabox, we want to make sure our talent stays within that cross section of light. So it's always good to keep an eye on where that cross section is and try to make sure your talent or their action, if they're doing a leap or a turn or what have you, stays within that cross section. One of the things that I really take into practice, especially when shooting dancers, is I tend to shoot upwards. And this kind of translates either to photography or film. And I do it with models too. It's to make them seem taller. So in situations like this, when my talent has taken that what's called second position grand plie, they are already fairly low. They have a very low center of gravity. So I want to get on the ground, or as low as I possibly can, to really give that hero shot, make it seem larger than life. Now, this is one thing I should have noticed from the beginning. This piece of paper that's hanging from the top was really irritating me, so give me a moment while I roll this up. That's much better. It looks so much cleaner, and that roll is no longer going to be getting in my way. At this point, Courtney did mention to me that she wants to pursue modeling as well as dancing. So what we decided to do is, since she's not familiar with modeling, we decided to train her a little bit and take her fondness for dancing and incorporate it into simple poses for modeling. This was achieved by just telling her to go through her dances that she's already created, the stuff that she's already choreographed, and figure out those high points, those points where they stop, they freeze, they melt, and bring that into a pose. As you can see now, I did move my main light, my key light. And the reason I did this is because I felt it was too far over her left shoulder and I wanted to get more coverage on her face. Notice in the previous pictures there's a deep shadow on the right side of her face, so I kind of wanted to minimize that a little bit more and really utilize that massive octabox that I have and cause that light to really wrap around her face and really give her a little bit more of a glow. Now we shot like this for about another 15 minutes. We did some ground maneuvers, we did some more standing up, and we also did some stuff that was a little bit more commercial that she could use on her other side of her portfolio. As you can see here, we went through all these different shots, these different poses, just to make sure she had a nice variety to work from once everything was all said and done. So Courtney's out changing. Actually, she's probably back. It's probably her music right now. But while we wait, I'm gonna go ahead and run through the setup real quick with you guys. Let's go. So first, I got my camera, my good old 5D Mark IV with the Sigma 70 to 200 on here, tethered to the computer. This way we can see what we're doing as we're shooting. We don't have to keep shooting, and then it's like, I don't like how this looks. At least this way we can review photos before, you know, we actually move on to the next thing, make sure we got what we need. I'm always trying to tether just to make sure everything is spick and span, best way to do it. I'm running two Alien D1600s, the 640 watt systems. Paul C. Buff, probably one of the best strobes you can get entry level. These strobes are about $400, super easy. Running two strip boxes and a giant octabox. What I'm running over here on this softbox is the Bronze Color Ceros L. This is the 400L actually. I'm actually using this as the key to trigger these two. It works phenomenal. Normally I don't do 3 light setups with dancers. I try to use 2, just the octabox and the strip. But I decided to use a second strip this time just to see what we get. Get a little feel on the back left side of her, and it's as you can see, it's coming out fantastic. But yo, Courtney's back. She's in her leotard. We're about to do these more ballet contemporary shots. Let's get into it, guys. And now that we're getting into the more classical styles of dance, it's a little bit more different, but still generally the same methodologies. Just like dealing with hip hop or dealing with shooting fashion, a lot of it is about angles, it's about lines, it's about painting a picture with your subject. There's a type of synergy that has to happen. Take note of my position relative to hers. Notice that I'm sitting on the floor versus she's a little bit higher. Remember, I did this because I want my images, the talent in my images, to have that sense of grandeur, to feel taller, to have that hero shot, to make them feel larger than life. Having that low angle, especially while my talent is on releve or their tippy toes, really brings that to life. Much better. Now I can really see the definition in your thighs. So let's try to do that. Like all your poses, if you're gonna come up, let's put them on releve so we can get that definition in your calves and in your thighs. Now this brings up another point.
One more thing!
One of the things I really try to do when I shoot, especially when dealing with dancers or people who are athletic like bodybuilders or personal trainers, is I really like to bring out the definition in their muscles. In this particular case, having Courtney stand in releve or doing her poses in releve allows her muscles to tense up and really show the definition in her thighs and in her calves when that flash goes off. Now at this point, I had switched to my 85mm simply because I absolutely love that lens. It does wonders for me. Shallow bokeh, a shallow depth of field that I can only get with the 85 or the 100mm.
Perfection.
Now, one of the challenges you'll probably run into a lot, I know I do, is space. One thing with dealing with dancers with action shots is you got to have space. And if you can avoid it, don't shoot on paper. Paper moves and you can risk actually hurting the talent or the talent hurting themselves. Especially if you're going to be including leaps, turns. With those type of movements, limbs need to be spread out. So as a safety precaution, try to always avoid shooting on paper unless you have a way to secure it. Reason being is paper moves. If you can get on a cyc wall and do it, do it. Even if you have to have the extra expense, it's worth it for the safety of your talent. But because I didn't have access to a cyc wall and I needed to do this with a white backdrop, that's one of the main reasons why I weighted down the paper as well as taped it down on the edges as you saw in the beginning of the video. So after seeing that last little bit, you're probably wondering what the hell happened to the strip box. Well, the brown color died, so I had to switch to a tube light setup, which is generally my standard for shooting in this particular studio. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the diffusion material that actually fit that strip box. So I took the diffusion material from my other strip, which was significantly smaller, and stuck it on that one. Surprisingly, it worked. I didn't think it would, but it did.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
One of the things I've learned throughout the years is how to direct, how to really translate your vision in your head to your talent. In this case, she's not really a model, so I had to direct her by using my experience in dance. Yes, I am a dancer. Am still kind of. But using that knowledge in dance, I was able to direct her to kind of get the type of shot I wanted with the arched back as you see here. And this is how it came out. At this point here, because we had now switched to an entirely different theme, we had to be like really sexy. This allowed us to go for more of a glamour look rather than the commercial hip hop look we shot at the beginning, or the more classical ballet contemporary look. One of the 3 classes she does teach is a sexy heels class, where it's basically sexy dancing in heels. So this part of the shoot was designed to kind of bring that out and for her to give material for that side of her business. One of the things that I probably should have told her, but I didn't think of right away, so I'm gonna tell you guys, is when your talent is wearing heels, especially for something like this, please make sure that they are new heels and not something that they regularly walk or dance in. Simply because the bottom of the heels does get worn out, and that does show in the image, and it does not look pretty. It will make more work for you once you take that in post, and yeah, I'm just trying to save you a lot of time. So I'm not gonna go through a full so I'm not gonna do like a full walkthrough like I normally do on my videos. I'm just gonna kind of show you guys what I already did, and this is everything right here. It's not much. I didn't have to do much because of how it was shot, but I'm gonna start back at the very beginning of the image. And actually, this isn't the very beginning. I did some stuff in Lightroom first. Let's go back here, develop. And as you can see, I already have a few settings that I've already done to it. Reset it. And it's not much. It was mainly just a little bit of a white balancing, and then there was a little bit of sharpening too. Well, it auto sharpened, so for what I had back, kind of left it as it is. And then sometimes I'll do the chromatic aberration and profile corrections. Here it really didn't do much, so I kind of just left it alone originally. Go back to Photoshop. Now, this was the original image when I pulled it into Photoshop. I'm gonna zoom in here. See how the paper's not the best. We have her shoestrings, which was a major annoyance for me, as well as the bottom of her shoes, which is what I spoke about earlier, actually, when mentioning that little tip about the heels. So the first thing I did was I used my clone stamp tool to get rid of the shoestrings for the most part, except that was right over her leg, and use the liquify tool to give a little bit curvature to her butt. My next step was the frequency separation, which is what I do in like every photo. What this allowed me to do is I came in and then I got rid of the messiness, the scuffing on the bottom of her shoes, cleaned up the shoestrings, as well as took into her face a little bit. Didn't need much because it's a little far away, so I didn't get that much detail, but I went ahead and just did a little bit on it. Then I created basically a composite layer from all that, just so I have something solid to work from. And then my dodging and burning, which really brought out the definition in her muscles and accented the highlights and the shadows. This is generally what I did for every photo in this collection. After that, it was just a save, brought it right back into Lightroom. If you can, that is one big recommendation that I would make. Archive everything with Lightroom and just import it into Photoshop, because once you save it, it pops right back into here and it just becomes so much easier to manage. After which, it comes back into Lightroom. Then I just kind of messed with my settings, brought the exposure up a little bit, just the hair, dropped the blacks, messed with the shadows, the highlights. I kind of just tweaked everything until I felt it was like perfect. It was like butter. Brought the texture up. I don't like to mess with clarity. It gives an effect I really don't like. Brought down the vibrance. Mess with the curves. I wanted to really bring up the shadows to give it more of a faded look. I generally really like the faded look with these type of photos. Whoops, go back. Didn't do any real color grading, as you can see here. I really like the way the color already was. As far as sharpening, what I did was, and I do this with every photo I work on, I hit Alt. And first, well, not first, but I'll go in here to figure out what I'm actually going to be sharpening. Now, unfortunately, you can't do this until you already give a sharpening amount to it. See, it grays out. So you have to give a little bit of sharpening amount. So you have to give some sharpening amount to it, and then you can go ahead and do your masking. Also add a little bit of noise reduction to it, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a glamour-esque look. And then that's it. That's how I went ahead and edited this photo. It's pretty simple. It's not as complex as my other editing, because this was so good right out the gate. If I were to really do anything else with this, I would probably just do a little bit more white balancing because it's a little warm. And then that would be about it. I actually like that. I might keep it like that. And as you guys can see, we didn't edit. I edited quite a few of these photos. You guys can go ahead and view the entire collection on my website. The link is in the description. And with that, thank you guys for joining me on my first BTS video. I thoroughly enjoyed doing this. I definitely want to do more. So please smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, hit the bell icon so you get notified whenever I post a new video. I do plan on doing a lot more of these. Like I said, I did enjoy them. I really enjoyed the editing process of this video. It was really fun. And also, down in the description, I'll have links to these, my preset packs. These are just the ones that I'm still working on. I want to give a lot more value to the packs that I have, but 1 through 6 is already available. The beauty pack, the black tones, the city pack, fashion technicolor, and a custom set of presets. That this is pretty much should be the free pack. And on my website there are sliders so you can see the before and afters of how these look. So please check those out. And until next time, guys, peace.